Hi fellow book lovers, it's me Sophie and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up video, not of just May because I honestly didn't do a lot of reading in May, March, of April, and of May. I read 12 books over those couple of months. So yeah, we're just kind of going to jump in and get into it. Starting with March, the first collection of books that I read were Heartstopper. So I read volumes 1 through 4. One was 4 stars, the rest were 5 stars. I love Heartstopper so much. It is so heartwarming. It's just, you're gonna just fall in love with the characters. You just love the relationship between Nick and Charlie, and besides that, it has an amazing cast of characters with amazing diversity, lots of LGBTQ plus representation, all sorts of stuff like that. And it's such an endearing and wholesome book. It also tackles really important issues at the same time too. So it's not just light and fluffy, but it really warms you. And I would give anything to read it again for the first time. But I own them all. I read it, the first one, in one sitting at the bookstore. I didn't even wait till I got home. That's how much I loved it. My favorite was number 3 when they went on the school trip, because I'm not going to spoil it, but that just was my favorite because of the way that Nick and Charlie were together. It was just awesome. Oh, by the way, Heartstopper is by Alice Osman. Moving on to Georgia Peaches and Other Forbidden Fruit by J. Robin Brown. It's a YA book. It also has LGBT representation. It's super cute and wholesome as well. It's in, like I said, it's in a YA format with LGBTQ rep, and I feel like that doesn't happen that often, so that was pretty cool to have that as well. And this book is about love, it's about friendship, it's about family, it's about finding who you are and accepting your true self. And I just love the message of this book. And another really interesting aspect of this book is how it ties in Christianity. That's not my religion, so I found it really interesting to learn a little bit about that religion, but it doesn't like knock you over the head with it or anything like that. It's very, very good. My one grope, which is why it's a 4-star, not a 5-star, was the miscommunication trope kind of came into play, or it was more like the lying trope. But I'd say it's like kind of, you know, it was on that miscommunication edge. And I just really didn't like that. I hate the miscommunication tropes. That kind of knocked a star off for me. And then the next 2 books I read were on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical copies. And one of those books was Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and that's the first in the Addicted series. Okay, I'm probably gonna get like come under fire for this, but I hated this book. I only gave it 2 stars. I really didn't like it. 2.5 if I'm being generous because I like the other characters, but I hated the main characters. I just found them super selfish and boring. And of course, it's not about the addiction, because addiction isn't a selfish thing. It's just that the characters themselves were just selfish people. And that was just really boring and annoying. I also found it repetitive and boring. It was like they would get into a fight and then something about their addiction would come into play, and then they get into another fight about it, and then they're like, oh, can I trust you? Can I trust you? And it was that whole thing over and over again. There was nothing new. And I also didn't really like the insta-love, because I felt like from the very beginning they loved each other, and that was just kind of bothering me because it's supposed to be friends to lovers. However, I did like the side characters, so I might read their books, but I definitely won't be continuing in the Addicted, the main series. I might do like the other like the side books, but I definitely am not going to be reading these books. Okay, and this next book was a 5-star, so that's The Deal, which is the first in the Off Campus by Elle Kennedy. So this is actually a hockey romance, and I wasn't expecting to really enjoy that as much as I did, but I really liked it, actually. I loved the banter and the dynamic between Garrett and Hannah, which are our main 2 characters. I found myself laughing at points because it was actually really funny, and the wittiness was also really there. The writing was good. It was a little bit of a slow burn. I really don't love slow burn, so that was a tad annoying for me. I was kind of like, will they, won't they, for like a while. That was a little hard for me, but I'm definitely excited to read the rest of the series. Next, we're moving on to April, and the first book I read was also my favorite book of the year so far, and that would be One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This, like I said, this book is it's my favorite book that I've read so far, and I've read about 20 something books. I'm not sure exactly, maybe 25. And this is gonna be a favorite, and I'd be surprised if anything tops this. It's just so good. I really resonated with this book, and I think a lot of people who read it would resonate too if they have someone that they love. It's just like I imagine losing that person, and that just like ripped me open, because that's what the main character goes through. And the writing is beautiful and descriptive, and it's just, I've never, like, TJR has just such a way with words. It's just it's an experience reading one of her books. And you're right there with the main character. You're kind of flip-flopping back and forth, being like, oh, who should she choose? And I kind of went right there with her. I was right back and forth, but I'm really happy with who she chose in the end. Okay, next book is The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is the second in the Bridgerton series. I tore through this book in 2 days. It was so good. It's by Julia Quinn, and I rated this book 4 stars. The main reason I didn't give it 5 stars, even though I loved it, was because I'd already seen the season 2 of Bridgerton on Netflix, and it just wasn't as good as season 2. It wasn't a slow burn, and I just really like the slow burn aspect on the TV show. I can't do slow burn in books as much, but in the TV show, it was almost a little too much in the TV show for me, honestly, but it was still really good, and I just like the aspects and some of the events that they did in the show better than in the book. But I did love the enemies to lovers. I loved the writing. I loved reading about the Regency era. This is actually my first historical romance I think I've ever read, and I really enjoyed it, so I probably will be picking up more. Top tier tension and sweet romance overall, so definitely pick this one up. And also, you don't have to read the first book in the Bridgerton series to read this. I didn't, and I still understood everything. The next book I read this month, the month of April, was Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I actually picked this up because of the cover, because of how beautiful and interesting it is, and so I rated this 4 stars. I love the post-apocalyptic setting. I found it really interesting. I have a thing for the apocalypse. I just find it super interesting and super fun to read about and play games in and watch movies with. So when I saw this was kind of a post-apocalyptic, When I saw this was kind of a post-apocalyptic theme, I decided to pick it up. The characters in this book are all girls. They're all so brave, and they're real gritty characters. You just can't help but fall in love with them and just root for them the whole entire time, no matter, because they go through a lot, but no matter what, you're there with them. This is also a book about friendship and romance. There's a little bit of LGBT rep sprinkled in there, a little bit of romance. This book kept me guessing from start to finish. I had no idea what was going to happen. It was definitely a little bit of a mystery, because you didn't know what was happening either. So that was really good. The last book I read this month was The Wicked King, and that's by Holly Black. And that's actually the second book in the Folk of the Air series. The first book is The Cruel Prince. I rated this book 4 stars, and the reason I rated it 4 stars and not 5 stars was because it just wasn't as good as the first book. It was hard to compare. That first book is just so good. But about this one, I love the developing romance between Cardan and Jude. And Jude, again, she's awesome. She's a badass. Just like she is in the first book, she keeps that up. She's just so cool. I want to be Jude when I grow up. It's an interesting story, interesting plot. Definitely pick this up if you like Cruel Prince. Definitely read Cruel Prince. Like I said, not as good as the first, but still good. And then in May, I had a humongous reading slump. I read 1 novella in May. I didn't read any books. I tried starting a couple of books. I started Book Lovers. I started the 3rd Folk of the Air book, and I was reading Harry Potter, but I didn't finish anything, and I barely read this month. It was so bad. But luckily, I'm kind of broken out of that now, so I'm into reading more. Because I really did miss reading. I just wasn't in the mood to do it. But anyway, the book I did read was Ali Hazelwood's novella, Under One Roof. And I rated this 3 stars. It was the definition of mid. just meh. It was definitely rushed. And of course, I understand it's a novella, so it's going to be rushed. It can't be a slow burn or as developed as I might want it to be. But it was just so rushed. I felt I just couldn't get behind it. I don't know why. I just couldn't. My main issue was that it was kind of the same character. I just saw a lot of resemblance between her and Olive from The Love Hypothesis. And I kind of wanted a new, unique character. I wouldn't read this. I really wouldn't read this again. I have no interest in reading this again. It was cute, like I said, but I just never need to read it again. I did like the spice and the tension. That was fun, but there wasn't enough of it. It really was a little too short for a novella. It was just a little too short for my liking. Wasn't my thing. And also, not the best enemies to lovers. So that is my reading wrap up for the past couple of months. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram, and please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!